Hello, everybody. Monica, Empower Your Health, Empower Your Life TV. So, at Empower TV, we connect you with health and wellness resources so that you can empower yourself and create the life you want and the life you love. So, let's go. And today, I have a really fabulous guest. Very excited to talk with her. She's a visionary artist and also a healer. So let me introduce you to Deborah Epstein. And she's like I said, she's a visionary artist, shamanic practitioner, MFR therapist, and spiritual creativity guide. Deborah works in the creative healing and shamanic arts. She supports women to connect with their spiritual gifts, find their creative voices, and thrive in creating a life of their dreams. Deborah currently offers one-on-one and group spiritual creativity guidance and mentoring sessions. Sorry about that. She also offers a unique and private one-on-one healing retreats utilizing creative expression, shamanic ceremony, and MFR therapy in Sedona, Arizona. Her newest project is the Cosmic Dreaming Lodge, a place to heal, dream, and create. Wow, that sounds amazing. I would love to hear more about that.
Yes, well,
Wonderful. Well, welcome and thank you. I'm very grateful for your time at this busy start of year season. So,
yeah,
yeah,
thank
how
you
are you
for
doing?
having me. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with your audience and to share some of what I create in the world. So right now we are in the Cosmic Dreaming Lodge, the paintings you see behind me, and let me see which way I move. That's my dreaming altar space that I have, and that's kind of the the medicine ground that I use to work from. But yeah, so you wanted to know like how I got into where I got
Mhm.
now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, just to bring you to our listeners and audience, tell us a little bit about how did you get into the work that you're doing as a visionary artist and a healer at the same time, because it is fascinating.
yeah, well, it was always my dream to blend all of those things I was doing separately. I started out, oh gosh, when I was in my 20s, going to art school, wanting to be an artist. And art school was the place that I really started to open up and realize that I was holding a lot of trauma. So that was really kind of the thing that started to crack me open and brought my awareness to the fact that, like, yeah, I had a traumatic upbringing. I needed to pay attention to it because the interesting thing about art is that it starts to open us up into our subconscious. And if you are holding trauma, you're holding it not just in your body, but you're holding it in your entire being. Like our energy, our emotions, or our wiring is wired from being in that traumatic state and holding on to it. And one of the things about the way we live in the world is we don't know what to do when we have even trauma, like a simple fall, right? Our body, we don't know how to shake that energy out. We don't know what to do with it. Usually we're shut down. Stop your crying. That wasn't that bad. So where does that energy go of that emotion that you're not allowed to feel? It gets stored here, right? And then after years and years and years, you're creating restrictions in your body, in your operating system, in your energetic field, in your energy system. And you have a hard time dreaming and imagining and creating because you're holding on to trauma and you're always in a fight or flight. So this I started to become aware of this when I was in art school. So I started doing energy work, and then I started mixing my artwork with the energy work because the artwork was a great way of accessing my trauma through the subconscious, through image, through color. And then I got to the point in my journey that I knew I needed to get into the body. It was just like the next stage that I needed to go through. And that's when I found myofascial release. And that work led me to the shamanic approach as well, because MFR has this component to it where it's like a shamanic journey. We're not taught about shamanism. It's kind of peripherally mentioned, but we are taking an inner journey into ourselves and to amplify our own healing, because we have that ability to do that. So yeah, I ended up having my own practice, and I was keeping all of these things separate. My shamanic practices was separate from my bodywork practice, and it was separate from my creative practice. And I was always trying to figure out, like, how do I do this? How do I engage people in wanting to create? People are so afraid of making marks on paper or showing anybody like what they're writing, their deepest, darkest secrets or whatever. And it's such a touchy thing. When you say creativity, people equate it with making art, and then there's a huge fear or devaluing of art. I say it's expressiveness. It's expressive creativity. It's expressive mark making, creative expression. I use different words for that because art has such baggage on it. It is the thing, like, it helps process our trauma. It helps kind of rewire our brain, while the MFR and the energy work kind of help open up the body and help create the space. The shamanic practices and the ritual art exercises kind of help keep that doorway open. It keeps us changing, because we have to change our patterns. We have to change our habits in order for us to create a lasting change in our body, the healing. So yes, the way I got here was I was instructing for John Barnes seminars for a while, and then there was an opening here at the clinic in Sedona, and I got asked to work here. And so I came and I worked there for a few years, and then I just really wasn't being fulfilled, because that art calling was just so strong and I wasn't really having the time to do it. So I ended up leaving and starting what I'm doing now, which I had no idea that I would be doing what I'm doing in the way that I'm doing it. I just kind of put it out there, and COVID hit, which is really interesting. I just happened to be in a marketing program with Hardcore Business, and they were teaching how to do like online stuff. And it was just like so divinely timed that when COVID hit, I was like, lost all of my clients. And I was like, okay, like, let's see about like offering some classes online. And it just kind of snowballed and took off from there. So now I've had to really divide up, because that takes up a lot of my time in my business, doing the online stuff, preparing programs and doing live events and all that kind of stuff. So I offer the treatment weeks now, like just at select times and on a certain week of the month, just because I can't fit in like hourly treatments anymore. It's too divisive for me the way I do it. And so I still offer the treatment packages, and they're a really great way to not just kickstart your healing, but really take you a long way and set you up for success as you keep going on your healing journey. So
Beautiful.
That's a lot.
No, it's beautiful. There's so much to unpack in there, because I have tons of questions. And
Okay.
first of all, I appreciate you just giving us an insight on your own journey. You went through that process that I imagine you're helping others to go through. So you're a guide taking their hands. And I really appreciate what you were talking about, that art is still in our society sort of something high up there, and there's so much fear of expression. But for you, the art is expression, and it's a way of unraveling those traumas. And what I imagine, it's sort of like a tunnel, like an insight. So how can I go deeper into myself through my own expressive work? So can you tell us more about how do you actually use art to help people to first start exploring inside, and then starting to learn what to actually do with all those traumas that go, stuck and wrapped inside our body?
Well, it's really about letting the energy move. The trauma is held in our body, right? And then there's always an emotion that goes with it, and there's always a belief system that goes with it, and then the body moves according to the belief system, the emotion, because we start to wire to that. So there's a whole brain and autonomic nervous system and enteric nervous system thing going on there. There's a lot of science in it. And so what we're really wanting to do in order to really heal is, I've been really calling it rehabilitation or transformation, because healing just connotes this ongoing process. Like, I'm always healing, I'm always healing, I'm always healing. I went through that myself till I was working with a coach and she's like, you're healed enough, just keep going, right? You can always work on that. And I'm like, yeah, that's more of a rehab kind of mentality. And I was like, yeah, working at Therapy on the Rocks, that's what, it's about, getting people up and moving again. It's not about staying in this cycle, right? Of I'm healing, I'm healing, I'm healing. You're healed, claim it. And now what do I need to do to cultivate a new way of being? What's going to help me walk out of it? So that's how I kind of use the art to help reframe. So I use a combination of introspective meditation, and I kind of call it embody work, where I guide you into the body, and using your sense of feel and going through your heart, you trust your heart to bring you to what wants to get released. Where is it's going to show you, what you're holding. And a lot of times it's not a linear process. So at all, it's very nonlinear. It takes a lot of creativity and imagination to create healing. Your body wants to heal. Your body's designed to heal. It's actually designed for health. It's not designed to break down and wear out. And it's just, that's a belief system. I don't know about you, but I've heard that people think that like the minute they are born, they start to die. That but the truth of it is your body recreates itself all the time. The cells are always regenerating, and it takes like a year for you to have a complete new system. And so if that's true, which I believe it is true, there's so much science on it. All you have to do is look. That we can take that knowledge and we can start to shift how we think about it. And in order to do that, art is a really great tool. So you want to start with where you are. So I just use color, shape, symbol. And it's not about trying to draw, anything like, paint anything like that's behind me. It's not about trying to get there, although some people want to learn how to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's about keeping it simple. It's about like, just throw color down. What color? Like as you're feeling in your body and you close your eyes and you feel, what color are you imagining? Then you just open your eyes and you find that color, and you either use paint, watercolor, or you scribble it, I have people do movement, move their body and let their, use two hands, let your whole body express. There's just very many techniques and, what do I want to say? Like activities, if you will, to have that happen. And then once you see kind of what comes out, you just build on it. I have them build on it and reframe, so this is what we have, this is where we want to go, and here's the steps in between. I hope that makes sense. There's a lot that goes into it.
No, it makes total sense. I mean, definitely I want to ask you a little bit more about the process, but
Sure.
So what is great too, it's like when you talk about what I understood is that our body's recreating all the time. So we're not dying, we're actually recreating and reforming. The point to me is, since we're empowering ourselves, how do you empower yourself? Well, you have to become conscious. So you take it in your hands, right? So then the art therapy comes in, because you can, I think for me, what I understand is that becomes a tool to be conscious and to be sort of the conscious creator versus, just going with that flow of like, oh, my body's dying, right?
Yeah. That's a lot of what I have a Facebook group that's called Conscious Creativity Circle.
Oh, really?
And that's that's what it's, we can literally like it. I love working through the doorway of healing and trauma, because it's that trauma that we lose that sense of wonder and magic and possibility, because we get stuck in the pain of it. And, honestly, it's not the fault of the person who's holding the trauma. It's not really anyone's fault. It's just that the system that we live in doesn't support going into the energy. It's about fixing the problem. And it's not a problem. It's just your body is stuck in a pattern that is not in service to creating health. And so it's in service to creating the trauma, right? Because that's where you got stuck. And so it's not even that the trauma is a bad thing. And it's not what ends up, we create a lot of victimhood in our current medical paradigm, because we're having our power taken away. We're giving our power over to the doctor to heal us, right? To fix us, to take us out of the problem. And the thing is, a fix never fixes, right? It's just a cover. It's a Band-Aid. You have to get to the root of it. And we all have that ability. We all have that ability. We just need to learn how to do it. And that's what I'm here to do, is to help that.
Beautiful. Yes, it's recreating the system we live in. And I think this is what we're doing right now. We have to take it in our hands, because the system as it is, the healthcare system, is not going to come in and create that framework for you to heal. It's just going to create that framework to actually be in that place of deterioration and, helplessness. So I really appreciate what you're talking about right now. And so when somebody contacts you, because you have one-on-one offerings and you have group offerings, and I'm curious about it because it's such a creative and individual process, right? And I feel like we all went through different traumas, different, situations that left that mark in our body. So we all sort of have to treat ourselves differently.
Uniquely,
Uniquely, don't follow that prescription of like, this is what you're going to be doing now. So how do you work with people to help them, create their own, container and their own path to be recreating in the healing way?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be now using the word healing. I'm just going to be using recreating. I love that whole idea.
Or transforming. Yeah. Or transforming.
Yes.
Yeah. I almost don't like, when I hear recreate, I'm thinking like create what I just created.
Oh,
create
good point.
new, so transform, reframe, transform. Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Create
you.
new. Yeah. Like and language is a huge part of this. I mean, it's just a little aside. Like language is one of the things that I really love working with, because how we talk about something, the meaning of certain words really reflects what our belief systems are. And, I always ask, and this is part of the uniqueness of me, I meet everyone where they are. I want to hear how they speak. I want to hear what's going on with them. I'm not healing them. What I'm helping them do is unlock their own unique potential and possibility. I don't tell them what to create. I give them the space to allow the creation to come through them. Whatever is coming out of them, they know. We all innately know we're not stupid. We're not idiots. We're not, less than, we're not in lack. We are so intelligent and wise. And it's just about being able to find the way to access that wisdom. Your body is so wise, and so are you. I don't see anyone as a victim. I don't see anyone as less than. So I hold the highest intention for them when I work with them, for their fullest expression to emerge. So that's why it's really hard to talk about, well, what do I do exactly? It's very fluid. It's very unique. It's very fluid. And it's really about, I can think to yesterday with a client that I worked with where, I'm just in the moment with her as things are coming up, and it's active creation. We're both in a space of the energy being held by our guides, by the altar behind me, and it's our intention when we start. That's the ceremonial part. We're opening up a space or a portal for the highest unraveling to occur, because it feels like everything's unraveling and letting go, and then the wisdom starts to emerge, and then we start to work in that. So it's like we're just dreaming together. We're in like this dream space together, and it's where magic happens. And it's just trusting your intuition. There's things that like intuitively you'll get hits on something and you just ask, or you get a conversation going about it, and it just leads to another thing opening up, or another way to have a release. It's a very magical way of working. I just absolutely love it, because it's like it's an adventure every time I get to work with somebody, and it's more about sacred play than it is about like, oh, this has to be heavy. It doesn't have to be heavy. It's about getting light and letting that energy move through. It's not always easy though, I will say, because when we're on those edges, and that's what I call it, that's what I call a creative edge. It's like we get to the edge of what we know, and it gets really painful because we get to the edge of our belief system of what is possible. And you have this goal, like say, for someone, it might be like, I want to walk or hike again without pain. And, I know they can do it, but they may not have had the experience of like getting to the point where I can move through whatever it is that's blocking me physically to get to the point where my body will do this. Your body will do it again. So it's like getting them to that edge and letting them feel whatever the feelings are that are limiting their potential. And it's not pretty all the time. And it takes sometimes more than one try or more than one attempt. And so like some of the programs that I offer are more in the daily devotional kind of venue where they have something that they can do every single day to cultivate and keep that going, the healing going, or the opening up their mind in a different way and expansion to happen, because it's all mind, it's all belief system. That's where our limitations lie. And we don't, and the other thing too, our society doesn't really support possibility. Our society supports being a victim. When you look at our advertising, it's all around lack. It's this thing that you don't have that you need to get, and I have it. Like, yeah, it's like I hate marketing with that idea of like pressing on that lack pain point. A lot of marketers out there do that. Like they use the pain that you're in and press on it to get you motivated to get you to get going in a direction. And I'd love to be able to do that different, but pain is a motivator. When we're in pain enough, right, then we'll make the choices maybe to help us get out of the pain. So
yeah, well, pain is, like the first signal that kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone. And that's where you start exploring. And I think that, yes, it's true that society is not supporting it. But I think that the beautiful thing is that there's so many people coming out right now and reframing, right?
Yep.
Recreating, or not recreating, reframing and creating a new pattern that, it is empowering, because we all have that healing path. Nobody can heal you.
Right.
But yourself. So what comes up to me listening to you too is that importance of space. So you as a healer, or however you want to call yourself, I'm wondering about that. But you as that wise elder who's holding the space, or you're young, but it's kind of what I'm doing. I'm kind of seeing you like that, like a shaman, and
yeah.
But the space, so the personal space is of you helping, but also the space that, like the lodge. I would love to hear about it more, because that seems like creating that sacred space where you can feel held and where you can enter to actually create those daily habits and go into the sacred space where it's not just sort of where you don't get distracted and pushed with all those things that come out, that are disturbing.
Yeah. It's funny what to call me. I struggle with that because I'm not a shaman. By definition, nobody really is anymore unless you're living in a tribe. So I suspect when people start saying I'm a shaman. And healer is a word that I've kind of come to terms with. It's like, okay, I just work in the healing arts, and it's really funny because I don't actually like to say I am this, because then I'm like overly identifying with it with my language. So, I provide guidance, I hold space, but you have to say something, like, you have to have some labels on it. So it gets kind of tricky. But and I'm not falling into a traditional, like I'm just an MFR therapist, and even, and being an MFR therapist too, that MFR is so hard to define because it encompasses so many things. And there's totally not a linear process. People try to wrap their minds around. It's like, well, is it like massage? Is it like cranial sacral therapy? It's a little bit like Feldenkrais. There's the rebounding stuff. There's just
all of it.
It's all of it. Yes, it is. It's whatever your body needs to get over the trauma. you know, and because we like labels, we have to call it something. And that's where I came up with embody work, because that's kind of what I feel like I do. I help you get into your body, and from that place is where you want to create. You can't, so many even healers and, you know, well-intentioned energy workers are so far out of their body, and they know how to access those realms, they know how to connect with other dimensions. But we're in a time right now in our world and in our consciousness that we're needing to embody. We're needing to bring that energy down. We need to start transforming and living in a new paradigm, because what we're doing is we're not being able to sustain what we've created out in the world. The way people work, the way people live it's first of all not sustainable for Pachamama, and it's not sustainable for us. And I'm very confident that Pachamama will survive us, but we won't survive what we've done. You know, we will not, we will be the ones that will extinct ourselves. I know that's like a really heavy thing to say right now, but when I'm talking about possibility, but that's also in the field as a possibility, because we're putting all of our focus on our lack. We're putting our, I don't want to say it like that, but there's a lot of us who are putting focus on lack. The structures and the structures out there, the leadership structures, a lot of them are government, that kind of stuff, is it's basically wired to function where it keeps us down here and that up there. So, you know, we don't need that. You know, we are very, very capable of creating society where there's a win-win for everybody. We do have that. We're wired for that. And it's allowing us to discover that and letting it come through us. And we will create health in all of that. Right.
Yes.
I went off on a big tangent there. Sorry.
It's very important what you're talking about, because I think that bringing that weight and seriousness to the whole topic is also important, because it's not all about, you know, just the floaty, oh yeah, we're just healing and all in clouds. It's very important to bring it down. And I think there's a part of collective trauma and collective healing of the collective trauma that we have to work with, because if we only focus on like what is my individual self going through, it's not going to be a fully fully, you know, healing experience for anybody. So I think that just understanding that some of those patterns and some of those traumas are not just only me. We share so much, and this way, as we unravel that, as we go into and meet those edges, right, with discomfort, but find ways to float, to move through it, or push through it, or float through it, however you want to go. Then, you know, things open up on a much bigger level. And also we don't feel like we're victims, because it's sometimes like, well, it's not just me. It didn't just happen to me.
Right.
So
Right.
So I just wanted to highlight that it's important to bring some of that bigger picture into this.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome direction to kind of head in our conversation, because that's one of the reasons why I do group work too, because we're creating, when I'm doing group work and I'm holding the energy for the group, and what I'm doing is really setting an energetic container or portal or field or whatever you want to call it. And that's part of the dreaming lodge as well. It's creating a field of dreaming that people will hop into. And I recognize that when I'm setting, when people gather and I'm setting that, it's getting everyone on the same energetic frequency. Now in that, people have all their different things going on, but we're harmonizing to the field that we're all agreeing, we're coming in and we're generating this field together. And in this field, this is the intention that we're creating. I feel like that's very important right now because of what you just said about how when we do something here in ourselves, or we receive something, or we're traumatized, victimized, whatever, it is going on out in the outer field around us. It's going on for others because we're so intimately connected. We're interconnected, intertwined. And, so knowing that you can go and you can do your best work and you can do your meditations and you can have setting your intentions and create your vision boards and all that kind of stuff. But if you're living in an environment where it's the mindset of the people around you are not holding that intention with you, or they're victimy, it's gonna collapse what you're trying to create. So it's really getting important to start gathering in groups. Not, it's funny, we always say groups of like mind, but groups to create like mind. so that we can work together in a group, because then you're gaining energetic momentum, where instead of one of you going in one direction, you're getting a whole team on the same page to create healing, to create happiness, to create joy. And, whatever it is, those emotions hold a certain frequency of energy. And when you're in that, you're holding that in your body, but I don't want to say holding, but you're moving it through your body, and it expands you, and it buoys you, it creates health, it helps your body create health. And so it's so funny that we get into this, we can understand it, but when it's the actual doing of it, it's how many times do you get talked out of, like, oh yeah, I should sit and meditate, but I don't have time, this other thing needs to happen and this thing needs to happen, and then before you know it, you've not done it. And it's when you sit down and you meditate, even if it's for 5-10 minutes, it changes your whole physiology, it changes your whole mindset, it can shift how your whole day goes. And it's just taking that time to sit with yourself, to connect with your heart, to allow your energy field to harmonize in a higher state of vibration. Not to say that's going to, crap's not going to happen during the day, but if you can come back to your center, you're going to be doing so much better. You won't be having that sludge or amplifying the victim-y stuff. Yeah, we're just so powerful. We just have to make up our mind to do it.
Yes, love it. And I really love it, because it's so important that, you actually creating that container for people with yourself holding space, but also with the group. And then it leads me again to that. Tell us more about the lodge, because I'm very curious. You mentioned it's a new project. So
yeah, so it started with the paintings that are behind me, and actually started, it's funny, looking back through my work. So I have a lot of sketches. I draw a lot. I do a lot of, that's just what I do. I have more visual journals than writing journals. And I started drawing, actually the guide that's right there. I don't know if you can see it that well on the screen, but that one there, I found a journal where I had drawn her back in 2014. So it's okay, so I guess it kind of went back that far that these, my guides started coming in, and I started seeing them and I started drawing them. It's about 2 years ago now. Is it 2 years? Yeah, it was the end of 2020. I just got this hit, I should be painting these guides. And so as I started painting them, the idea for the Cosmic Dreaming Lodge dropped in, that, I had a vision for it. It's, I don't know that it's ever going to be a physical structure, but it's definitely something I'm building in a virtual space. It's just taken a long time to do it. It's a total unfolding. And basically it's how I'm visioning it is a virtual space where you can go and you can do different classes, you can explore yourself, you can let yourself, it's a place to dream and heal and create. And with my guidance, and yeah, it's still kind of nebulous right now, but this space here is what the lodge is. So anytime I do my work, if I'm doing an online event or anything, it's here first. I open up the field here ceremonially. Everything I do is done in a ritual, ceremonial way, because it's sacred. It's sacred ground that we're opening up. Healing is we're sacred. We're opening up to our divinity here. And it's just, it's a place of play as well. It's a place where the imagination can run free. And, to me, this is a very real thing. It's like my imagination coming into life. And it really does provide a model of what's possible. We get to play in the world, we get to invent things. We get to talk to things that we don't see, but we can sense, you know.
Mhm.
We're not crazy. I may look crazy, but I'm not, you know. I think that's part of being creative, and
Mhm.
part of letting your imagination play. And when we were little, we knew how to do this, and then all of a sudden, we had to go to school and get all sorts of serious, right? And why?
Mhm.
What's that all
Yes,
about?
beautiful. Again, a lot to unpack for me. And so,
Yeah.
um, I love that you're mentioning. First of all, what I'm hearing is that as human beings, we have this incredible power of visualization, of imagination. We can create those spaces through that. It doesn't have to be a physical space, which of course the physical space helps, but just remembering and exploring again, like how much we can create out of our body and our mind, just through seeing it, through
Hmm.
feeling it, through feeling the energy, and just practicing and becoming better and better at that. And the second part of it, I love that you're exploring new technologies, because that's been something that I've been interested to looking into. How much is actually going to be available, to create those virtual spaces. I think this is a future too, where we can connect all around the world.
Hmm.
And where I'm seeing it, where the technology outside, the virtual technologies and all that is coming together with our human technology of our healing powers, the visualization, the feeling, the senses, like, all the other senses that we have. So I'm loving that you're mentioning that. And I would also love to hear a little bit more about, where do you want to take it all in the future?
Ooh, yeah. I'm not sure what the future is going to hold as far
Of
as
course, but where do
where
you
things are
want
going to go.
where do you want to take
um,
it?
yeah, I'm actually not. It's funny. That's what I'm always asking. I feel like I'm so in the midst of building this project that I'm not really thinking beyond it because I'm in the midst of it. So it's like the goal is to get it, up and running in a form that feels user friendly and workable, where people can kind of come into the space. So I guess if you're asking me what would that look like in completion, yeah, it would definitely be part of a website. It would be part of a like a virtual like kind of ceremonial space where you can kind of click on all these different things to go on these little adventures of healing for yourself. Um, One of the things that I wanted to say too about the internal technology and the external technology is everything your computer screen can do, or your computer can do, or how we can connect with one another through devices. We can do that without the device. And it's really, really funny to me because I see um, artificial intelligence and all the things we're doing with computers. We're creating a machine to do what we already know how to do, or maybe we don't know how to do it, but we have the capability of doing. We are the technology, and that's the Newtonian mindset, right? It's the matter creating more matter.
Mhm.
When it's energy, everything is energy. And like, when you start practicing with people, and I do have a group of friends that we get together, and we're so connected that like we have we use technology. We have like a feed, a thread in our messages that we're messaging each other all the time. And it's just really interesting, the different synchronicities that are running through each of our lives. And when you're connected to a group of people that, again, you're creating a like mind, all kinds of magic can happen because there's just so much more power when you're wanting to create. So my future does have that in it. It's really teaching people how to access that power within themselves through love, not through like what I think material thing I need to have. That stuff will come, that stuff will show up, you'll be sustained, but it's really about what is your heart telling you. Get back here, get back to your center, get back to your desire, your will. What is it that you're here to create as a soul? You're not here to suffer. That's like one of my mentors says, suffering is optional. We don't have to suffer.
Exactly.
It's a
Yeah.
choice, but we don't know it's a choice we're making that we don't know that we're making. We think that it was put on us, and that's the victim again.
Yeah, but I think also, having that vision, having other, say if you're in a space that you're still maybe feeling like you're a victim, having others to show you or guide you, it's crucially important, because we're social beings. We're not just suspended
Right.
like in space. And the same thing for me is with new technologies or the virtual space, and that it almost like it gives us more confidence. I can see that this is possible. So why now let's have our body to start to go online and actually doing it as well. It's almost like sometimes you have to see what's possible to wake yourself up.
Absolutely.
So,
Greg Braden
the
is
same with
someone
art.
Yes, Greg Braden is someone that I follow, and he has a book called Spontaneous Healing of Belief. I highly recommend it. It came out I don't know, early 2000s. But in it, he talks about this. He talks about our mirror neurons and how we learn from each other by example, right? We see somebody doing something, then we see it's possible, and we can wire ourselves to do that, right? And it's really just getting over a belief. He uses the example of the 4-minute mile, and how it was so hard to break that. It was for a long time, people were trying to break it. And then it just took one person to break through that. And then all of a sudden, everyone's doing that 4-minute mile everywhere, because we learned it was possible. So it's just like this, what we're creating for ourselves in health. The people who are doing this sort of work, who are getting this message out there, people like Joe Dispenza, people like John Barnes, people like, who else? Bruce Lipton, those guys that are talking about that technologies of our body and our mind that we inherently have access to. No one is holding you hostage from it. It is in you. You are it. And it's just getting people to see that possibility, and also moving through those boundaries that we set up for ourselves, because that's where it gets uncomfortable, right? You have to be willing to embrace what's uncomfortable, because that change is uncomfortable. I always use the metaphor of like an ocean liner on the ocean, and you're headed in one direction, and then you go, okay, this isn't working for me. I need to change directions. Well, it doesn't just turn on a dime, right? It has to turn, and it has to take into account the ocean, right? The ocean is in momentum with you. You've mastered the flow, right? To have that vehicle to move through that space. And so you have to hit the brakes, and you have to turn around. So it takes the time, and then it takes the commitment, the showing up. That's that's what I call devotion, because if you come at it from, I'm devoting to myself, my growth, my transformation, my love, my expansion, whatever you want to say, and I'm devoting myself to that, it sounds so much better than I'm disciplined. Or commitment's good. I like commitment, but to me, devotion is speaking from the heart. If you're doing it from a heart-centered place, I'm devoted to creating this for myself, and I know that I can do it, and it just is going to require me showing up for me, So powerful.
Beautiful. I love that devotion that comes from my heart. And there are others that can support me, and there's spaces that can support me. So just stepping in, and then it starts to be a journey. You take a first step, and then you take another, and it may be difficult at some point, or really scary, but it's the journey. And I really appreciate that message. So if you wanted just to say one sentence, for anybody who, I know it's a challenge, it's difficult.
There's just so much.
Leave people with this one sentence or two sentences.
If I'm going to say anything and leave you with one takeaway, it's that you are so powerful. You are so powerful. And once you make up your mind and own your power and be empowered, you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Deborah. So if people want to reach out to you and explore more what you do, what should they do?
You could visit DeborahEpsteinStudio.com. That's my website. It's up and running, but it's it's under development. So from
Like
there
we all
you could,
are.
like we all are, you could get on my email list. That would, if you go to the website, you'll have an
Mhm.
opportunity to get onto my email list where you will see more of the things that I'm doing and creating in the world. I am launching a 4-month program beginning in February called Cosmic Dreaming, the Creative Wave. And it's a program that is a devotional program, creating art and doing movement and connection with the earth. There's something for whoever is going to be in it. It's going to be something for someone to do every single day. Plus, there's a group meeting I do twice a month to further create that group mind of the people who are in the program and really gain that momentum into creating what it is that you're here to create. And so that's coming up, and I'm going to be doing some webinars talking more about that in the next few weeks. So if you hop on my website and then get on my email list, you'll get all of that information sent right to you. So if that sounds of interest.
Beautiful. Yes. Well, thank you again. Thank you for this message of you are powerful. We are powerful. And it was an absolute delight to speak with you. Thank you so much for your wisdom and sharing so generously from your heart, and all this enthusiasm and your devotion. It just shines through. So I want to acknowledge that, and invite everybody to reach out. Check Deborah's website. We're going to post it for you, and we'll see you next time. We are empowered. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.